Deep in the heart of the village, a sinister plot was brewing. Okoh, a successful man living in the US, had sent money back home for his brother to build a house. But Chijioke, once trustworthy, had become consumed by greed. He mismanaged Okoh's hard-earned money, and now, with the help of ruthless kidnappers, he planned to abduct his brother, thinking it would be the final step to building his dream home. Little did he know, the man he was targeting was no ordinary man. After years of being away, Okoh returned home for Christmas, bringing his wife Rose, an American woman, to meet the family. The village buzzed with excitement as they arrived, blissfully unaware of the danger that awaited. Okoh, proud of his achievements in the US, was eager to reconnect with his roots. But the joyous occasion would soon be overshadowed by a web of deceit. Chijioke, Okoh's brother, now driven by jealousy and greed, had sold his soul to the promise of wealth. He had mismanaged the money Okoh sent for the house, and now he sought to gain everything by abducting his own brother. His plot was set in motion, with Okoh's return to the village as the target. What Chijioke didn't realize was that Okoh wasn't just a businessman. He was a former US Army veteran. As Okoh arrived with his wife and children, the night was filled with the sounds of celebration. But lurking in the shadows, Chijioke and the kidnappers prepared to strike. They believed they had the upper hand, but Okoh's military instincts kicked in. In the blink of an eye, he had turned the tables, protecting his family with skill and precision. The kidnappers were no match for the strength of a US Army veteran. The night erupted into chaos. Screams echoed through the streets as the kidnappers scrambled, realizing their mistake. Okoh, with his military training, quickly disarmed the situation, ensuring his family's safety. But it wasn't just the attackers who were shaking Okoh's brother, Chijioke, now stood exposed. His hidden secrets were slowly unraveling before everyone's eyes. Inside Okoh's home, his family gathered, shocked by the events that had unfolded. Rose, in disbelief, clung to Okoh as he reassured her. The children, unaware of the danger, played in the background. But Okoh's heart was heavy with betrayal. His brother had not only betrayed his trust, but had put the entire family in danger for his own selfish gain. Later that evening, Okoh and Rose sat in the dim light of their living room, reflecting on what had happened. The betrayal was deep, but Okoh's resolve was strong. He had survived the worst, and now he would make sure his family would be safe. But the question weighed on his mind: could he ever trust his brother again? In the wake of the kidnapping attempt, Okoh's military skills were praised by the villagers. They marveled at his calm under pressure. The tension of the night faded, but the underlying betrayal still lingered. Okoh's actions had saved his family. But it was clear the man who had once trusted his brother was now facing the harsh reality of what family could do when greed took over. The following morning, Okoh and Rose sat down in their quiet living room, trying to make sense of everything. The house was peaceful, but their hearts were troubled. Okoh spoke quietly. "Family is everything, but sometimes even the closest blood can betray you," Rose listened, her face etched with concern, knowing the emotional toll this would take on both of them. Meanwhile, Chijioke sat alone in a police station cell, his mind consumed with regret. The weight of his actions was overwhelming. He had plotted to destroy his brother's life, but now it was his own future that lay in ruins. He was surrounded by cold walls, but his heart felt even colder. The bitter truth had set in: nothing could undo the damage he had done. The local Igbo police station was abuzz with activity, yet the atmosphere around Chijioke was heavy with guilt. He had betrayed his brother, and now there was no escaping the consequences. The station, a place of law and order, was a stark reminder that sometimes even the closest bonds of family could be broken by the thirst for power. Seeking wisdom and guidance, Okoh visited his elderly uncle, a man steeped in the traditions of Igbo culture. The home was filled with relics of the past: wooden stools, carved masks, and the aroma of freshly prepared food. The uncle, wise and calm, welcomed Okoh with open arms, knowing his nephew was in need of counsel. Okoh sat by the fire, hoping to find clarity in the storm. His uncle spoke softly but firmly. The heart of a man is like the earth. Sometimes it must be plowed to yield the harvest. Okoh absorbed his uncle's words, knowing that he needed to rebuild trust and heal the wounds within his family. His uncle's wisdom, grounded in tradition, gave Okoh the strength to face his brother and what had to come next. Despite the betrayal, Okoh and Rose decided to return to the village for Christmas. They embraced the traditions of their ancestors, dancing, singing, and feasting with the community. It was a return to simplicity and joy. As they participated in the festivities, they realized that while betrayal hurt, the love of family and culture would always endure. Okoh and Rose wandered through the lively local market, the air filled with the scents of roasted yam and spicy jollof rice. Villagers dressed in bright, traditional clothing battered and laughed. It was a vivid contrast to the tension of the previous days. Okoh felt the warmth of his people and the rich culture he had always carried with him. Determined to find closure, Okoh visited his brother, Chijioke, at the police station. The anger and betrayal in his heart were palpable, but his voice remained steady. "How could you do this to me, to your own family?" Chijioke, shackled and defeated, struggled to meet his brother's gaze. The guilt weighed heavily on him, but it was too late for apologies. Chijioke finally spoke, his voice breaking under the weight of his regret. "I'm sorry, Okoh. I was blinded by greed." Okoh's face softened, but the pain of betrayal lingered. Family was sacred, yet trust had been shattered. "I will never forgive myself," Chijioke continued, tears in his eyes. It was a moment of raw emotion. But for Okoh, the road to healing was still long. Back at the family home, Okoh and Rose sat in the living room, reflecting on the painful events. Rose, ever the support, reassured her husband, "You did what was right, Okoh. But you must also forgive Okoh, still troubled. Realize that the act of forgiveness would be just as hard as the betrayal itself." Christmas in the village was a time for togetherness. Despite the recent turmoil, the villagers came together to celebrate. Tables were laid out with roasted chicken, jollof rice, plantains, and yam porridge. The laughter of children and the rhythmic beat of drums filled the air. Okoh and his family joined in, realizing that the spirit of Christmas was about more than gifts, it was about love and community. Later that day, Okoh and Chijioke found themselves alone. The tension was thick, but Okoh, now understanding the complexity of human emotions, said quietly, "I can't forget, but I will try to understand." Chijioke, looking remorseful, nodded. It was a step forward. But forgiveness was something Okoh would need to work through on his own term. After weeks of reflection, Okoh made a decision. He would stay in the village for a while longer to rebuild what had been broken. The house was not just a building, it was a symbol of family, heritage, and love. He knew he couldn't do it alone. But with his wife by his side and his community's support, he was ready to face the challenges ahead. Christmas Eve arrived, and the entire village gathered for a celebration. The night was filled with song, dance, and joy. Children wore new clothes, and elders blessed the young ones. Okoh, feeling a deep sense of belonging, danced with his family, and for the first time since his return, he felt peace. The village had shown him the strength of unity. Okoh's uncle, the wise elder of the village, offered his blessings. You've shown strength, Okoh, but you must remember that healing is a journey the villagers gathered around, offering support. And it became clear to Okoh that he wasn't alone. The love and support of the community would help him rebuild not just his house, but his trust in family. Months passed and Chijioke, now free from the shackles of his past, worked to rebuild what he had destroyed. He began to earn back the trust of his community and slowly his brother. The road to redemption was not easy, but Chijioke was determined to make amends one step at a time. With time, Okoh and his family settled into a rhythm of village life. They embraced the traditions of the Igbo people, and Okoh realized that his success in the US was not just measured by money, but by the bonds of family and community. His children learned the language, and Rose joined in the local celebrations, her love for the culture growing. The village had also begun to heal. With Okoh's family at its heart, the community worked together to rebuild not just homes but relationships. Okoh's investment in the village wasn't just financial, it was emotional. And as the villagers came together, they found strength in unity. As Christmas drew near once again, Okoh looked back on the year that had passed. He had faced betrayal, danger, and loss, but he had emerged stronger. The road to healing was long, but now with his family by his side and the support of his village, Okoh had begun a new chapter in his life, one that was rooted in love, trust, and the rich culture of his ancestors. This Christmas was one Okoh and his family would never forget. It was a time of healing, forgiveness, and rebirth. The village had witnessed the power of family and community. And in that moment, surrounded by loved ones, Okoh knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, his home, his true home, was where his heart was. As we experience the trials and triumphs of Okoh's journey, we are reminded of the powerful truths about family, trust, and forgiveness. In a world where greed can tear us apart, the love of family and community is what ultimately heals and brings us back together. Okoh's story teaches us that while betrayal may cause deep wounds, it is the strength to forgive and rebuild that leads to redemption. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share. Stay tuned for more unforgettable stories like this. I am Okoh.